Kinley College is located on the outskirts of Washington, D.C. in Maryland. It was founded by General Kinley, who owned the land it was built on. The college is divided into several sections, with the main campus, a subway connection, a small chapel, a library, and a student union building. General Kinley was a member of a secret society called the Golden Architects, whose scripture can be found embedded in the floor and walls of the college library, along with a large obelisk monument surrounded by the campus buildings and located in the quad. There is an interesting addition, a crypt found within the church and a statue of a silver lady outside the library. Kinley originally decreed the college be founded as an education in line with the core beliefs of the order and was established for the men of Maryland. However, the impact of World War I meant that there were dwindling numbers of men who were interested in prioritizing their education and instead were focusing on starting families. So in 1920, the college opened its doors to women as well, mainly as a way to keep the money rolling in. There is very little information on the Golden Architects, and the college is very tight-lipped about the society. However, located in the library's special collection is the original student charter and code of conduct, and found within its chapters lie some interesting and questionable sections, which seems to point towards belief in their own superiority and favorable seclusion of those who do not meet their particular standards. Student Eva Garcia leaves her mum a voice message to let her know she's arrived safely back at Kinley College after she spent Thanksgiving at home. She expresses that she's excited about the upcoming Derby Ball and can't wait to celebrate with her peers. She also mentions that her roommate is currently sick, however doesn't seem too concerned, and has offered to go to the pharmacy to pick up her antibiotics. Eva reminds her mum to make sure she listens to her podcast so Eva can gain her extra credit from her professor.
Hey Mom, just wanted to let you know that I made it back, and I'm fine. The dorm didn't burn down. Flight was garbage. We were delayed 3 hours and had to switch planes because some fatty broke the plane. Good news, Blue Ladies killed it at the lacrosse derby. Derby ball this year is gonna be sick. The team is amazeballs. Mom, I gotta go. My roomie just came back. She's not feeling great. They think she has strep or something. I promised to go to the health center and pick up her prescription. Anyway, just wanted to let you know I made it back and didn't get murdered on the metro. Love you. Don't forget to listen to my podcast. Prof says I need at least 50 listens to get the extra credit.
Dr. Sandra Benson is the in-house physician at Kinley College, and her close friend, Dr. Patricia Thompson, works at the Free Clinic in Brooklyn. Together, they are discussing the spike in flu cases following the Thanksgiving break and how the health system is stretched to nearly full capacity. However, this is not surprising, as it is very common for these increases at this time of year anyway. Yet Patricia notes that for some reason the presentation of these flu cases seems off, and that Sarah has put them on yellow alert.
How are you holding up?
Fine. We're always stretched pretty thin before the new fiscal year. I just hope we don't lose that grant money.
You'll get it. I don't know about you, but the health center is basically at capacity. The strain this year is really bad.
We've definitely had an influx in flu cases, but the presentation seems off. Sarah's got us on a yellow alert.
That's normal. At this point, I'm just handing out hand sanitizers and condoms, hoping they'll be responsible and I don't run out of antibiotics.
Same.
Last thing I need is another chlamydia outbreak. These kids need to blow off some steam, but the derby ball always ends up with at least one kid in here with bronchitis or a broken leg because they're trying to impress some girl. I don't know if I have it in me to deal with that shit this year.
Could be worse. You could be handing out methadone because the clinic down the street lost its funding.
Yeah, never have to worry about funding in academia. Just getting the deliveries out to the boonies.
You've got a metro stop.
The only drugs they'll deliver on the metro, I'm not allowed to prescribe. Welcome to KinleyCast, the only podcast for and about Kinley College that gets you extra credit in your history and media production courses. This is Eve, and today we are talking about the history of Kinley. Exciting stuff. I know we've all heard the rumors about the secret society that constructed the obelisk in some of the buildings on campus, but what's the truth? Well, our beloved General Kinley was a member of the Golden Architects. He was the original owner of this land, and he did decree that the college be founded so that an education in line with the core beliefs of the order could be established for Maryland men, and the reservoir be built to serve the moral, intellectual, and practical needs of Maryland. Like, this guy super had a savior complex. And I know it was normie for his time, but that's totes sexist now.
Things are starting to gather momentum as the number of flu cases continues to rise, and Sarah is becoming increasingly more concerned. Dr. Benson is dismayed with the inaction of the college's administration and expresses her frustration with her friend, Dr. Thompson. They are adamantly refusing to cancel the Derby Ball, even after she has expressed her deep concern for the growing number of flu cases that aren't responding to treatment. Both women can see firsthand the devastating impacts of this new strain, and what they are now beginning to more strongly believe is not just a simple case of the flu.
Just tell me the truth. I fucking hate this rumor mill bullshit.
Sarah's talking about quarantine procedures, advising people to wash their hands and stay home if they feel sick.
I've got at least 5 cases that aren't responding to treatment. I'm running out of beds and asked the president of the college to evacuate one of the dorms to set up the quarantine and cancel the Derby Ball.
He tell you to go fuck yourself?
Called me a fearmonger. Accused me of trying to create a panic so I get a raise. Fucking academia.
Well, it'll come out of his bonus when they have to pay the wrongful death lawsuits.
As satisfying as the idea of that chucklefuck losing his job is, I'd rather not be toe-tagging my kids.
I get you.
You have any casualties?
First one, yesterday.
How old?
4. Little blonde girl. Mom's an anti-vaxxer. Thought kombucha and miso soup would cure her. When she finally brought her in, she'd lost 10 pounds and was severely dehydrated. Wasn't anything I could do. Her heart couldn't take the stress.
Welcome back to KinleyCast, the only Kinley podcast where extra credit is not only a bonus, but a requirement for listening in. As time marches on, so does the progress of time. Where were we? So yeah, Kinley. Not a bad dude, but also not the greatest. I mean, he's no Lincoln and he's no Lee. And for an institution that didn't allow women until 1920, which, actually that's pretty good. Like that's 6 years before Sarah Lawrence was established. So yeah, good on you, Kinley College, for being ahead of the curve on that one. But yeah, the real reason they let women in wasn't because they were super progressive or anything. It's because they needed the money. World War I had totally ravaged the population, and there are not a lot of dudes looking to get their education when they were worried about starting families. And those who were dealing with PTSD and the influenza pandemic that wiped out a lot of potential student bodies. However, there were a lot of spinsters looking to make something of themselves, and Kinley capitalized on this new demand for higher learning for ladies. In order to go co-ed, 2 additional dorms were built to house the new students. I mean, it was the roaring 20s, but it was still the 20s and way before the sexual revolution was even a thing. And it took another 37 years for Kinley to be like, no, we don't want to be associated with that creepy-ass secret society BS anymore. They wanted to appear more modern and liberal and tried to rebrand the college as a bastion for free thinkers and exploration. But there is still some really jacked up shit in the student code of conduct. If you haven't seen the original charter and code of conduct shit, you should check it out in the library special collection. It's creepy as fuck. I mean, there's a section on how Puerto Rican you can be to be a member. What?
Dr. Benson's fears have become a reality, and as a result, the Derby Ball has become a super spreader event. She confides in Dr. Thompson that she is beginning to believe that the cases are showing similarities to smallpox. To get some more definitive answers on what they may be dealing with, Dr. Thompson has sent some samples to the laboratory and requested that they test specifically for smallpox.
15 new cases.
The Derby Ball.
I fucking told him. You let them have a party. Kids who are sick as fuck will down a bunch of painkillers, smoke and drink until they feel good enough to party, and then infect each other.
We had to lock the doors and turn people away yesterday. 2 of my nurses are out. And the longer this shit goes on, the more I'm convinced it's not the flu.
If I didn't know better, I'd think it was smallpox. But that's fucking crazy.
It's not. That's what we're all saying here. That's the rumor Sarah keeps trying to kill because they don't want to start a panic.
We have to quarantine the kids and evacuate the school. We don't have the resources to deal with an outbreak like that. I gotta get this asshole to listen to me.
I sent some samples to the lab, told them to test for smallpox. Should have them back in a couple of hours. I can email you the results. Maybe seeing it on an official letterhead will make him listen to you.
Welcome back to KinleyCast, the only podcast that's still casting. I know we've talked about some of the weird shit on campus, like the obelisk. I mean, could there be a more phallic symbol just hanging out in the quad? We get it. You are a men's organization. You need the penis beacon to light your way. It's just super weird. But, like, not as weird as the fact that there's, like, a church with a crypt on campus. Like, why is there a crypt? Who's buried in the crypt? Is a crypt without bodies? Like, if the crypt doesn't have bodies, is it just a basement? And, like, if we get high as fuck and try to hold a seance in the church basement, is that, like, super weak sauce compared to holding one in the crypt? But it's weird, right? And, like, I've gone to the library and tried to research the shit, but like a bunch of the golden architect shit that's just embedded in the floor and walls, the college doesn't really want you to know about it. Oh, and, like, the statue that's in front of the library, that, like, weird silver lady, you know why that's there, right? Some chick in the 70s got tired of staring at the big dick in the quad, and so she was like, we need a naked chick to counterbalance that shit. That's some white feminist nonsense. Like, not to body shame or whatevs, but just throwing a naked silver lady that blinds the fuck out of you on sunny days in front of the library does not offset the huge marble dong that you can see from space. And I swear to God, sometimes if the angle is right, that obelisk is, like, right between her tits and she's grabbing it, and, like, the mirror reflection titty fucking thing is, like, so not what the artist intended. I probably shouldn't smoke and then record this podcast. Good thing this shit's not live.
Eva leaves a voicemail for her mum to let her know that she's coming home. She is frustrated with her school's closure, the hours she wasted on doing a podcast for extra credit, and that her final exams have been cancelled. Her dorm has been converted into a quarantine, as the health centre can no longer accommodate the number of 6 students.
Hey Mom, so school is fucking closed. I did all those stupid podcasts for no reason. Finals are cancelled and they ordered an emergency evacuation of campus. Last night I got kicked out of the dorm and moved to another dorm because there wasn't any more room at the health center. Roomie got to stay because they still don't know what's wrong with her. It's fucking scary. There's all these rumors going around, and everyone's afraid of getting sick. And, like, now I've got a tickle in my throat, and I'm like, is this how it starts? Like, are they gonna let me get in Chad's car and leave? Chad offered to drive me back home. It's kinda nice of him, but also, like, after that shit he tried to pull freshman year, I don't know that I want to be in a car with him for 3 days, you know? Anyway, just wanted to give you a heads up that I'm coming home and that I need pozole. Love you. Make me pozole.
Task Force Proteus was a convoy made by the JTF in order to search areas around Washington, D.C. As well as recon, they were also tasked with scavenging any supplies they might come across while on patrol. Eventually, after a number of weeks of exploring the outskirts of DC, they stumbled upon a cache of valuable supplies. A number of high-value items were located, including a mobile SHD server, 3 military-grade servers, a communications jamming hub, discarded SHD tech, encrypted radio handsets, 2 large tanks full of chemicals, and some explosives. On their way back to their base of operations in the capital, they happened upon what they believed to be an abandoned campus by the name of Kinley College. A decision was made by the leader of the convoy party to proceed into the school and see if they could find more valuable resources. Unfortunately, the campus wasn't abandoned, and not long after entering the area, they were ambushed by a group of outcasts. The outcasts had made Kinley College their headquarters, and with their large numbers and the element of surprise on their side, they very quickly overwhelmed the task force and eliminated the majority of them. Within Proteus, there were several JTF engineers, of which the outcasts took hostage, and with those same supplies that the convoy had acquired, the outcasts ordered the engineers to develop some new weapons. Soon after, a distress signal was sent out to the JTF based in Washington, D.C., along with the division. This is actually one of the many scripts that I started years ago, but had abandoned in favor of other projects I was working on at the time. My wife recently dug this one up, stripped it right back, rewrote it, and here we are. I'm sure this is a bit of a blast from the past for a lot of you, and myself to be fair. Apart from gathering the footage for this video, I don't think I've been to Kinley College in years. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this, and Extremis Malus, Extrema Remedia.